Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. And I just was meditating as I was riding home, and the Spirit brought this to my attention, or brought it to my mind, of the journey that, us as men that we're on is becoming a man worth following, And I think about the different men of the scriptures, like um, Solomon, in the book of Sirach, Yahweh Shai. They're just different books, David, the book of Psalms, just different books, which is many I can quote, but all of them are telling and teaching men how to become greater men, how to become godly men and better and better leaders, because we are a nation of kings and priests. A king is a leader, you know. A king is someone who's able and capable. A real king is someone who's able and capable of leading a nation, a people, leading a kingdom. That's where you get the word kingdom from. A king. Someone has to rule, someone has to lead, be in charge. And all throughout the scriptures, we are learning how to be better leaders. So we are learning how to become a man worth following. Because when we was in this world, it was ways and things of this world that we had to take off and shake off in order to become the best versions of ourselves we could possibly be. Or in order to level up and go to the next level. That's a better way of saying it. Until we get to that version of ourselves, the best version. You know. But all throughout the scriptures, we've been learning how to become a man worth following, or men worth following. And I'm just get a couple scriptures. It ain't gonna be nothing too in depth. This is Proverbs chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, "My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom, and apply thy heart to understanding. Yeah, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding." So it's all going into learning, gathering wisdom, and applying wisdom to your life, and understand, having that understanding. This is what's truly leveling us up, because the same cycles and same mistakes that the people of this world are making and going through, the experiences that they have to go through, we are going through. We still going through certain things. We still experiencing those things, but we're handling it differently now. A part of being a light in this world is being able to handle situations in this world that other people would otherwise fold or make bad decisions or give in to their impulses, into their nature, uh, human nature. Um, we are applying wisdom to the situation. We know how to handle things differently now, and when we get put to the test, we ultimately pass it, because we're handling, basically, we're maturing in this word. We're maturing in our walk. And with us maturing in this walk, it's, it makes us much greater. We get put on a different level. Like, we level up in the spirit. And just to tie it back to the title, like I said, we're becoming men worth following. Because being a light in this world, we're supposed to be a light unto our people. A light unto each other, a light unto our people, are those that are without. Without this knowledge, without this truth, who don't understand, uh, fully, or comprehend, or don't have the proper examples. Because this is what their pastors and their leaders and their spiritual counselors were supposed to be unto them. But it didn't turn out this way, because they're not of the elect, you know. Allah, Yahbashim Shah, I see 144 right in front of me. So that's why Solomon was writing this. He was like, if you're going to listen and tune into wisdom, you know, that's the greatest thing for us. This is the greatest thing for an Israelite man, is to have wisdom. The wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. It's the greatest thing ever. Everything else follows. uh, and hopefully it's transferring over properly. Just now getting out the car and finna get in the house. 1 second. Get out this car. Okay, I'm gonna go to 3. All right, so this is Proverbs 3:1. It says, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee." And that's right. You know, this is what wisdom does unto us. It teaches us how to live on earth and how to make the right decisions so that we don't get caught into a situation that can ultimately cost you your life, or make bad, wicked decisions that will cause Yahweh Bashim Abishah to bring judgment on us, and the type of judgment they bring on us, we won't have a chance to repent from. We don't want that, and a lot of times, which I give it a good example of being a light. 1 second. I give a good example. My coworkers. Now, one of my coworkers is my supervisor. The other one is, he on the same level as me. And the one that's on the same level as me, we all usually talk, and I be mainly listening to them. Sometimes I do more listening than talking, because a lot of times they be, they don't be saying nothing righteous. They are more so, I just, be frank with it. They have committed a lot of adultery in their lives. And their mindset, now that they're older, it hasn't really changed much just from their conversation. They still, on that wicked mindset, even if they don't particularly go out and do it, which I don't know what they're doing, but I just listen to their conversation, So anyways, my coworker, I usually talk to him about, different things when I do share my point. And I always share it from the scriptures. Like, we condemn adultery, condemn that thing, condemn that wickedness. And he'll agree, this, that, and the third. But today, him and my supervisor was talking. My supervisor had a rather interesting weekend. Went out of town and met up with some, young white, some Edomite women and whatever, so on and so forth. And then coworker bring up a woman that worked at the job with us. And I'm gonna get to the point of it. Basically, she had been in a relationship with, one of the other guys that been working there. Everybody know about it, ain't nothing secret. So everybody know they was together. But he still was in communication with her. She been out. And he talked to her this past weekend, found out that they broke up. And what he had said was, he ain't want her he don't want her now since she's single. He would have took her while she was with somebody. And when I heard that, I already, knew what these guys pretty much would be on. But when I heard him say that out his mouth, after me giving my take and everything, and him agreeing and him, saying it, I'm like, you wouldn't just say that if you didn't believe it, or if you didn't, because we wouldn't say nothing like that. Us in this truth, we wouldn't just say nothing like that. Yeah, if she was single, I wouldn't want her, but if she taken, no, we don't think like that. We don't move like that. We don't even joke like that, because that's complete madness. That's complete wickedness. That's abominable in the sight of Yahweh Shem Abishai. You can lose your life over that. You can lose your life just saying it, because you wouldn't say it if it wasn't in your heart. If it wasn't in your mind, you would really do something behind the scene like that, just to appease your flesh. But now that she's single, even though I still wouldn't touch her, even if she wasn't single. I mean, if she was single, getting out of a relationship with somebody, and you cool with the dude that she was with, but I wouldn't touch her regardless. But the fact that you would say you only, you would have took her while she was taken, but you don't want her while she's single, you don't want them problems. It's like, that's complete wickedness. That's a wicked mindset. And the Lord can judge you for that. And I always think that to myself when I be listening to them. I'm like, man, Lord, y'all ain't changed. Y'all still the same wicked guys y'all used to be when y'all was younger. If y'all had at least a mindset of change, condemning, because they don't never condemn how they used to be. They always brag about it like it was some type of feat or achievement or something. And that'd be vexing within itself. Coming in, listening to them talk about another woman that they had in the past that's now somebody else's wife. But before they became somebody else's wife, they was somebody else's girlfriend. And they was dealing with her while they was with somebody else. Like, that's complete wickedness, But the scriptures tell us to incline into this the words to wisdom. And we're becoming men worth following. And I already know, not only just from there, but do experience at other jobs, especially being at a job where I was it was like me and maybe 2 or 3 other people in my department at least that wasn't, that hadn't been to jail, and that the majority of the people, because I worked at a brick manufacturer. Well, I used to work at a brick manufacturer, and basically they was hiring a lot of people, out of jail or something like that, to give them a job. Really, it was just low pay and a lot of labor, a lot of physical labor, and they weren't paying them, a whole lot of money to do what they was doing. Basically, just trying to act like they was trying to give them a chance, but really it was just Esau getting over on Jake, because it was only Jake out there doing all the hard work, the sweaty hard work. But anyways, besides the point, me being out there, even some of the people who was the same mindset, they'll commit adultery, they out there selling drugs and different stuff like that. They were, every time they got around me or seen me or something, they changed their tune. They was more so like, I'm a good, it was one guy, he was old, he was late 40s. I think he was pushing 50, but he was late 40s. And he was like, I'm a good boy, which I don't like nobody calling me no boy. I was a little bit younger, but still, I was still a, early teens. Early 20s. Still don't like nobody calling me no boy or nothing. But anyways, like I said, the point, every time I was around them or around some of them other guys, they knew that I was different, and they changed their tune. Because whenever we did have conversations, he wouldn't talk like he would talk to the other guys. They would speak like, they'd have a more, like they'd be on a higher vibration. They wouldn't talk about doing nothing wicked around me, or that wickedness wouldn't come out. And it's the same way with some of them, the guys I work with now. Because when I talk to them personal, one-on-one, or when we talking about something, but I'm actually giving my speech, my mindset coming through the scriptures and wisdom, or with high morals, they, what I'm saying, they don't come back and be like, nah, I can't be like you. I got to do this and do that. But what they saying is something wicked. And Lord will, this is making sense, because I know I'm kind of stumbling and all over the place. But the point I'm trying to make is we're becoming men worth following. And it don't matter about the age. That's why Paul told Timothy, don't let no man despise your age because you're young. Establishing the church of Yahweh Shem Abishai, being a leader. It don't matter. Your age doesn't matter. And I think that's what stuns a lot of people, especially with brothers in this truth, because we're young. We're young, making decisions and moving as if we have already experienced life for 40, 50, 60 plus years. We're moving with much and such wisdom that they can't really explain how we got it, where we got it from. They just think, in which I've been told this many times, that I just, I was raised around older people, which I had, a mother and a father, both in my life, both together, still together to this day, but, and that's who I was raised by. But it's not that we was just raised by older generation or nothing. It's just the fact that this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding has changed our lives, and we're becoming men worth following. We're becoming actual true leaders for our nation. So that's why all throughout the scriptures it tells us, like I said, my son, forget not my law, but let thy heart keep my commandments. Telling us to keep the commandments, apply wisdom, learn wisdom, love wisdom, because this is what's truly making that transformation. I'll probably get one more. I had a whole bunch of them in my mind, but now that I've been speaking, they kind of been filtering out. I kind of been forgetting some of them. Let me see. This is Sirach chapter 1. I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, the fear of the Lord is honor and glory and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. The fear of the Lord maketh a merry heart and giveth joy and gladness and a long life. Which we read that, in Proverbs. This is the same wisdom. This is what wisdom does for those who take hold of it. It says, whosoever feareth the Lord, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor in the day of his death. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. She hath built an everlasting foundation with men, and she shall continue with their seed. Just going all the way into wisdom. I'm going to jump down to verse 18. The fear of the Lord is a crown of wisdom, making peace and perfect health to flourish, both which are the gifts of the Most High, and it enlargeth their rejoicing that love him. Right. Then it says, the root of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, and the branches thereof are long life. The fear of the Lord driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. So wisdom, it said it driveth away sins. Now we get an understanding. We're getting an understanding of why the Lord put the laws, statutes, and commandments in order, and why we are to abide them. Because we see just how far a nation and ultimately the earth can fall by not abiding and applying the wisdom, the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. We see this now. And we see that the leadership is not capable of implementing this because the leadership is wicked. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So it's up to, first and foremost, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, then the 144,000, the actual governing body of the nation of Israel that would govern the earth. And Lord will, with that number, we are the ones that's going to govern the earth in righteousness. And we are becoming men worth following, And that applies to both your family too, because that's really how I intended to start the lesson, being a man worth following for a lot of women, because a lot of women in today's time, they're going to turn to the men of the Lord. Isaiah 4:1, those women going to be turning to the men of the Lord for protection. And these men are going to be capable of leading their own household. They're going to have the necessary skills. It's no longer following women. That mindset is out the door. That's gone. It's dead. Now it's back to its natural. It's getting back to its natural order of women and children following men. And we're going to see just how it turns out for those without wisdom versus how it's going to turn out for those with it. Going back to the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish. I said I was going to get one more, but now just remember it. This is Wisdom of Solomon 1:1. Love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth. Think of the Lord with a good heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him. For he will be found of them that tempt him not, and show of himself unto such as doeth not distrust him. Now, let me jump. As a matter of fact, it's Wisdom of Solomon 6. Here it is again, 6:1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand. Learn, ye that be judges of the earth. Judges of the ends of the earth, give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. Right. It said, learn, understand, and learn. Hear therefore, all you kings, and learn. This is going into wisdom. And it said the judges of the earth, the kings of the earth. We are leaders unto the people, you know. And like I said, the scriptures it said we are kings and priests. A king is someone who has dominion over a kingdom. He's a leader, you know. But a wise king is gonna have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And our first and foremost, our wise king is Yahweh Shah. And under that, he got men that's likewise, like-minded, along with him. And now I'm gonna jump down to verse. I'm gonna start at 17. It says, "For the very true beginning of her talking about wisdom is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love, and love is the keeping of her laws, the laws, statutes, and commandments. Keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, you get an understanding. That's like it says, the beginning of the beginning. Wisdom is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So the keeping of her laws, statutes, and commandments is getting the understanding, and giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption." Meaning, now we're transforming our mindset, the way we think, and how we live our lives and how we move. And with us doing that, we become light unto other people. And incorruption makes us near unto the Most High. It makes us near unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. We develop a deep personal connection and relationship with the Heavenly Father because we're becoming more and more like Him through Yahweh Shah. And it says, and therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. So the desire of wisdom transforms you from this sinful, corruptible man all the way up into a man that's close to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you know. And it said, bringeth you unto a kingdom, because we're becoming kings and priests, you know, a nation of kings and priests. We are a nation of kings and priests, you know. It has to manifest, you know. The Lord has to put us. He's literally in the process of translating us into a kingdom, you know, the kingdom of heaven coming without observation. But then we're gonna actually have something to rule over on earth, and when we rule over it, we're gonna be leaders, you know, a nation of kings and priests, leaders, judges, men worth following, you know. So this is what we're becoming, just like our elders and apostles. They are men worth following, you know. And we're making that same transition, you know. And when I say we're, I mean we're all making that same transition. We're all becoming greater versions of ourselves, becoming men worth following, you know. So Lord will, this made sense. Lord will, was an edifying lesson. Just wanted to go into that. It had dawned on my mind as I was driving home, had to instantly start making a video on it. So Lord will, was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that were well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Until next time, shalom.